What's going on, people? What's going on? It's good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. It's your boy, Coach Vic, certified land investor. Glad to be here with you as always. Always a good day, always a good time to be investing your money into property that people don't seem to want, but is very valuable. It's always good stuff. Now, as you guys know, a lot of people who jump into this game or who intend to jump into this game are looking to kind of level up their financial lives. And to do that, it's not as easy as just learning a new technique or a new skill, because if that was the case, then we all be millionaires. But there's more that goes to it. Now, a lot of the things I'm going to talk about is going to all point to an underlying issue, but we'll deal with the surface stuff here because the underlying stuff is, I guess it can be kind of tough to talk about. Not necessarily because it's a difficult subject, but it can be long and it's kind of personal. So in general, we're going to talk about the holes of knowledge that you may have in land investing. So before I begin, let me know if you can hear okay, you can see okay, everything is good. If you have any questions as I'm going through, please let me know. Put them in the chat below. I'll answer them in real time here in the live stream, or I will just get back to you in a comment if I don't see it in time. Now, there's going to be some quote unquote homework for you to do as I go through this. But before we do that, I want you guys to just kind of ride with me a little bit and stick with me all the way to the end, because I have something coming up, and I think I want to do it in March. I might push it to April, but I have something I think you guys will actually be very excited about. All right, with that said, let's jump into it. So some of you guys are watching this, or whether it's live or it's a replay, you've taken another land course. I've talked to you and you've done the other guys that I don't need to name them here, but you've taken it. And some of you spent 2,500, 5,000, 8,000, 15,000, 20,000 or more. And no matter what, I applaud you for actually putting your money where your mouth is, because the number one investment, better than land, better than stocks, better than crypto, better than anything else, is investing in yourself. Now, obviously, you're not able to predict how that information you're about to pay for and the coaching you're about to get will, resonate with you. You can do your best to kind of do your due diligence and to kind of get a feel for, what you're getting into. But in general, you don't really know. Now, in my personal experience, a lot of people, it's rarely the information. Sometimes it is, but it's rarely information. It's more about the person doing it. And a lot of the mindset hasn't been addressed to actually tackle some of the things that maybe not be as easy to tackle. But for whatever reason, you've taken another course, or you just heard about land investing recently. You've been starting to do hey, let me do some research. Let me figure things out. I want to know more about this. And you're getting information from podcasts, from YouTube videos, from groups like this one. There's other groups similar to mine. And you're trying to cobble together all the information, right? And you're wondering, how come I don't feel as confident moving forward as I thought I would? Whether you paid for a course or coaching, or you're trying to do this for free, there's something that's stopping you from moving forward. Now, a lot of you, I would actually like to hear, what do you think that is? It could be a mindset thing, but a lot of people feel like, hey, I don't know how to do X. Maybe it's, I don't know how to find a good area, because the course I took, they just told me where to go and I just did it. So I can't do that for myself. Maybe it's sales. Maybe you're having a tough time with sales because the course that you take, and a lot of them don't, they don't talk about the marketing and the sales aspect of this. And why? We'll get into that in a moment, at least my speculation. Maybe it's just like, hey, I got busy with life and I had a baby and this and that. And just a lot of external factors came in and it kind of threw you off kilter a little bit. So whatever the reason, share in the comments below, why do you think that you haven't actually gotten really started for real, or that you have, if you did get started, why haven't you kicked it up a notch? Why haven't you done more? Why haven't you really hit this with, with all that you can, with all your might, so that you actually can start to fund your life, your legacy, leave that day job? Because that's what you got into this for, right? You had a big plan, you had a vision of some sort. You felt land was the most sensible way to go about it. But for whatever reason, you're not acting like that's the case. So write down in the comments, why do you think you haven't really hit the ground running? I'll give you guys a second to do that. Okay, good. Now, if you are trying to get started and you're not really sure why, well, let me ask you this. Do you think it is because the land investing model is difficult or it doesn't work for everybody? Or it's not about the land investing model, it's not about how hard it is or isn't, and it just, you can't do it, or it won't work for you as an individual? Which one do you think it is for you? Either that the business model doesn't work for everybody, or doesn't work at all, which obviously it's not the case, or it's just too difficult for you, or you don't think you can do it. You see other people doing it, is for everything, you don't think you can do it. Like that success is just not in reach for you. Let me know, put that in the comments. Don't worry, we're working through this. We're working through this. This live is like an interactive live. Again, if you have any comments or questions, you ask them, but kind of think about this, write it down, take a picture, whatever it is. All right. Now, here's the thing. I do think that there are certain people out there who's not giving you the full picture of the land thing. Now, here's an overview of the whole land process. All right, so take mental note, at least the way I see it. First, you got to find a profitable area to invest in. Next step is, once you do that, go ahead building a list. The step after that, sending out offers to people on that list in various ways, right? Because you may want to mail, you may want to text, you may want to do all types of other stuff. Okay, great. After that, once you send out those offers, actually talking to owners, because not everybody you talk to is going to sell. So there's a little bit of conversational art that goes into that. And then once you do have someone that wants to sell, negotiate the price that you want. Hopefully you come up front like, hey, this is what I'm looking for, so you don't waste your time or their time. And then after you negotiate a price and you guys agree to do a sale, time for due diligence. This is the part of the process. Now it's time for due diligence. After that, after you do the due diligence and everything seems good, and okay, seems like a good property, after you get it, then you transfer the property. You can do self-closing, or you can use a title company or something like that. And then there's marketing the property. So now you got to let the world know you have something of value that you're looking to sell. And then finally, the actual sale portion. So the people that you marketed to, they're calling you up, you're having these conversations, you're negotiating the price, kind of like when you bought the property, but now with a lot more money involved. And once they purchase it from you and you know how to collect their money, you transfer the property as quickly and as efficiently as possible, and everybody's happy. That is the whole overview of land. Now, in general, write in the comments below, again, whether this is live or a replay, what do you think most people who are giving information out, such as what I'm giving out to you right now, spend a lot of time doing? Or what's the biggest topic they talk about the most? Give you a minute. If you're sad or you're thinking sending out offers, and you would be correct. That seems to be the biggest thing that people in this industry talk about. Now, I'm not talking about just random people who are buying and selling land, because then they'll ask about, hey, I got this crazy situation. What can I do with it? Or I just bought some property. I'm very excited. Or I just made a sale, right? They'll talk about random stuff. But when people are trying to give the game to people, the biggest thing I see, now, if you see something different, please correct me if I'm wrong, or just show me your experience. They just talk about sending the offers. And some people will talk a little bit more detail than others, as in like what to say or how to say it. Others would just say, you just got to send more offers, or how many did you send, things like that. But that's the biggest detail, or that I see people talk about, the biggest subject. Why? Well, number one, it's easy to talk about. It's very easy for anybody to understand whether you are in this industry or not. It's easy to say, hey, if you send out enough offers to people let's say you send out 1,000 offers, and a good percentage of that 1,000 people will actually want to sell the property at a price that you like. It sounds really nice too, especially when people are floating around. Oh, I bought that property for $50. I bought that property for $300. I bought that property for $1,000, right? It sounds really nice. And it sounds easy. I mean, it is. It really is easy, but it's easy to talk about. It's easy to get people kind of pumped up and juiced about it, right? The second thing I see a lot of people talk about, and it's the property like revenue that they get after selling. or how much they could potentially get. Because that's fun to talk about too. All the money you're about to come into, you're about to make it rain up in the club because you found this little property that no one seemed to want, no one else found it but you, and now you're going to sell it for buku bucks. Fun to talk about. And it's very exciting. It gets people salivating, like, oh, I want that. I really need that. So why do they talk about that? Well, again, it's not only is it fun, but it's hard to check anybody on that. I can easily say, I bought a property for $300. I sold it for $30,000. You're not going to really know if that's true or not. Now, a spread like that seems very far-fetched. I can tell you that it's happened. It hasn't happened to me, but I've seen it happen. I can talk about, where deals I'm getting and stuff like that. And I like to share those with you just to keep my my word to you that I'm, sharing what I'm doing so you guys can benefit from that as well. But again, it's like, how do you verify that I did exactly what I said? How do I, how do you know if I'm not necessarily making it up, but not including other things like, well, it costs X amount to get the process going to do the transfer. It costs Y amount to pay any back taxes. It costs this to do that, right? You don't really know, but it's fun to talk about, ooh, I bought a property for 500. I sold it for 5,000. Again, realistic, it does happen, but there's no way to really verify. And there's not a lot of information that you as an individual can do with, except get you excited and hopefully motivate you to take a step forward. Now, every now and then someone also may talk about like where to find areas and stuff like that, but that's usually a lot of people with scarcity mindset. They don't share that because they're afraid of competition. They don't want people to flood the area. And I don't blame them. I'm not going to say it's necessarily scarcity mindset, but they know how certain people who don't have the discipline can kind of ruin a good thing if you're kind of not careful. All right. So with that said, let's actually jump into why this is the case and what you can do about it. Now, my first guess, now here's the thing. I'm only going to guess and speculate here. I can't really, besides the stuff I'm about to talk about in a second, I don't know what other people are thinking. I don't know what the method is to their madness. They may have a very valid reason for not sharing them that more detailed information, but we'll see. So there's two camps. One, you are getting free information and you're trying to cobble it together from YouTube and podcasts and groups and this, that, and other. And two, you actually are paying somebody, a course, a coach, somebody, right? And you're trying to get information that way. So number one, why aren't you getting all the information from the free stuff? Well, as someone doing something free for you right now, it's really hard to actually put a lot of detailed information in the small segments that we need to kind of keep that information out there. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a fine art to kind of teaching and entertaining in a sense that people are actually, they stick to what you're saying. So trying to drown you with details is not going to be conducive because you're probably not going to absorb many of them. And since it's free, you don't know as a creator who is actually paying attention and what their experience level is. Some people, they've been doing land for years. So what they need may be a little different than someone who's just learning about it for the first time. Trying to have something that has a little bit of something for everybody, it's not easy. So you have that. And then the amount of time or space that you want to take up with free content. Because for example, I do my live streams. I only do them for 30 minutes, not only because, it's easier for me, but it's easier for you. You guys got busy lives. You don't have time to be sitting on a live stream for 3 hours as I explain every single detail. So what most people do, they try to condense it. They try to talk about the things that people ask about the most. And then they try to make sure that they can do justice to a little bit of it because they really can't do it for all topics that they talk about, especially if you're trying to squeeze 3 or 4. Like, for example, for the live stream, I was going to just give you a bunch of just word vomit information. And as I'm writing it out, I'm like, damn, this ain't going to work. No one's going to be able to pay attention to this. And no one's going to be able to absorb this. No one's going to be able to get this because it's just too much. And it's coming at them in such a small time frame. So I get it, right? And there's certain things like due diligence or marketing or negotiation that there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of big picture things and small picture things that you can talk about. And in trying to just throw that all together in one thing is tough. Trying to make a consecutive series is very time consuming and tough. And that's what comes into our second type of way of people get information. That's the paid route. Courses, coaches, and mentorship, things like that. Now, in general, you can get a lot more detail on certain things, but why don't people who are that you're paying give you all the information? Like if you don't know how to properly market any piece of property, then that's a problem. Well, why isn't that people who are you're paying aren't giving you the information? Well, as I could say, I could only guess and speculate. I don't really know if this is true or not, but my guess is number one, they have limited experience in that topic or subject. They know enough that the subject exists, you know, maybe because they heard about somebody else or whatever, but they don't know much about it where they can give you a lot of detail because they haven't really, you know, done much with it or learned about it themselves. So now they're just trying to like, hey, this thing exists, be aware, I guess. And you have to take that and wondering like, why do I feel so uneasy about getting started in this process? Well, somebody is like the blind leading the blind in that situation. And sometimes it's because they don't have the amount of the deal types that would facilitate that information. So for example, if you've never done a deal with wetlands in Florida, it will be hard to convey information about what that entails, what type of buyers you're going to need, what type of due diligence you're going to have to check for, and so on and so forth, because you don't know, you've never done it. If you've never done a double close, it's hard for you to say more than just, hey, well, the overall premise is that you find the buyer, you find the seller, they sell to you, you sell to them, one closing company facilitates the whole process and you get paid in between. Yeah, if you haven't done that before, how do you give nuance? How do you give, hey, watch out for this? Hey, to make sure they don't run off, you know, try to do a deal behind your back, this is how you handle it. Hey, to make sure that the title company is going to be cool with it, this is what you ask up front. If you don't know that because you haven't done it, it's hard to teach that, right? And then the last thing that I see from a lot of courses is the people who are teaching, they don't have the confidence to really actually teach it, to really give that information. And because of that, it comes off as limited. So understand that you have the lack of actual experience of doing a certain thing. You got the lack of deal types that kind of shows the different aspects and the nuances that you may not be familiar with unless you've only done, if you've only done a certain type of deal, you may not be understanding how other things can work and other opportunities and possibilities. And the third thing is the lack of confidence, and they're not confident for whatever reason. It may not be a legit reason. They may have all this skill and experience in the world, but then for whatever reason, they can't express that. Now, so far, that making sense? You guys understanding this? Because I mean, because I'm about to ask you some tough questions. I need you guys to answer that to help me help you further. Okay. Now, oh, you know what? Let me add one more thing to that reason why certain paid course people don't give you more information. It's because, in my opinion, it's a lack of it's that scarcity mindset. Now, a big thing that a lot of people don't know is how to sell vacant land, how to market it properly, what you're doing even before the marketing process starts, and how to approach it as a real investment. They don't teach that. Now, in my opinion, some of these people have a scarcity mindset because they know things will be different. Or it's possible that they're just gotten so far ahead of where the beginner is that they forget about some of the beginner struggle. And they're like, oh yeah, just do X, Y, just sell to your list. And that person who says that has a list of like 10,000 people. So it's much easier to sell to a list than a person who's just starting out and they have a list of 3 people. So there's certain things that they may have forgotten, but in general, I think it's a scarcity mindset. And they don't want you to know their marketing juice because they feel you will become competition and they don't want to have to compete with you. And in my opinion, the people that I teach, I give them everything. And as I come up with new stuff that seems to work, I'm like, hey guys, check this out. This works great. Do it now. Why? Because there's enough land out there and opportunity for everybody. There's no reason to not just give everybody what you got. That's what they pay you for. That's just my opinion. Anyways, moving on. Where are you going to find the missing information? Well, before we could do that, you got to be honest with yourself. You need to stop trying to cobble together a bunch of shit and thinking it's going to work. That's not how it goes. Let's think about this. Let's say you want to be a great basketball player and you want to learn from Michael Jordan and you want to learn from Shaquille O'Neal and you want to learn from Manu Ginobili and you want to learn from Steph Curry, right? All of these players are great in their own right, but they all have different strengths and weaknesses. Here's the thing. You can't just pick and choose parts of the land investing game and put it together if you haven't done any deals, because you don't know what works. You don't know why something works. You don't know how it looks in a big picture because you haven't done anything yet. So trying to just get a bunch of information from YouTube and podcast, that doesn't work. I got guys in my group who paid me money to show them the game, and I give them everything that I do. And I talk about it and I do it. And so it's not like I give them one thing and I do something else. I'm like, this is what I'm doing. This is how you do it. And they still will look at other podcasts and stuff. And then they come back to me months later. You know what? I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have listened to those podcasts because all it did was confuse me. And I don't know why they do the things that they do, but I know why you do what you do. And I see that it's working right in front of my eyes. Also, when you're paying somebody and you do what they tell you and things don't work out as planned, well, they can adjust. They can make a game plan. They can kind of see what happened and what didn't happen. When you're cobbling together a bunch of random information, you don't know why shit ain't working. Is it the way you implemented it? Was the information just bad? Maybe it wasn't bad, but that information is good for someone who's doing a certain type of deal or who has a certain amount of capital to invest. If you don't know that, or you don't know what the deals are, how are you going to make that adjustment? How are you going to make those decisions of like, hey, I should do things this way and not that way? So stop doing that. So this is what I recommend. You can do what you want. You're a grown-up, but this is what I recommend. Number one, pick one person to follow. One person, namely a coach that you're going to pay because they're going to actually have a vested interest in your success. A podcast, a YouTube video, they don't care if you succeed or not. They just care if you watch the video. They don't care if you even apply the information. A decent coach will care. And they're going to make sure they're going to hold you accountable. So pick one person that you're going to follow and just do what they do. That way you get rid of conflicting messages. That way you get a confusion. And that also helps you to avoid that shiny object syndrome. We're all susceptible to it. So if you just pick one person to stay in your lane, you're going to be better off because now you have something called focus. Most people don't have focus and they're wondering why they ain't making no money. They're wondering why they're still having the same life they had 5 years ago, except they're older and more bitter. They don't have any focus. So that's the first thing. Stop trying to cobble together information. Stick to one person and just do what they do and do it how they tell you to do it. All right. Now, when do you know, or how do you know if you picked the right person to follow? Well, it's easy. You go through all of their steps, not just logically, but actually physically do the steps. Get to the finish line. Then look back at your journey. Do you think you can do it again? Do you think you can do it better? Because now you have a little experience. Did you like how that went? Or are there certain things that you won't do next time? And those things that you don't do is kind of vital to that person's, I guess, methodology, right? You can't understand that until you've gone full cycle. Now, if you have similar experience in real estate or something like that, maybe you could use a little bit of foresight and kind of like, yeah, from my experience, maybe, but it's hard to say if you haven't done land. So you gotta, if you want to pick up, go through the whole process. Now, if you go through the whole process, you give it everything you got, literally everything you got, and you don't get any results, and you've been just following the method as best as you could, and nothing's coming out of it, okay, time to pivot, use somebody else's method or a whole different industry altogether. But until then, you can't say nothing. Most people who quit, they don't quit because information is necessarily bad. Even if it is, they don't even know if it's bad or not because they haven't tried it enough. They haven't gone through the whole thing. They stop after the first 2-3 lessons. So go through the whole thing. Now, here's the part that you need to write down. As I said before, I was going to give you guys a bunch of information, word vomit. I can't do that because it's just, you guys are all in different places and no one really wants to speak up like and admit where they are at this part, you know, what holes in their journey or what gaps they have in their knowledge. Now, sometimes you just don't know. You're like, shit, I think I don't feel confident and maybe I don't know something. Let me hear what he has to say. So this is what I'm gonna help you do right now. We're gonna figure it out and then we'll move forward next week with what I learned. So number one, get a pen and paper. You're gonna grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being you know nothing about it, and 10 you're an expert in a particular subject. I'm gonna go off and read these different topics or parts of the land investing business, and I want you to grade yourself on these things. Okay, you ready? First one, grade yourself on finding a profitable area. 1 is you have no idea how to do it. 10, you're an expert and you can find a new area in about 10 minutes. Finding a profitable area. One is you don't know what you're doing. You've never done it. 10, you're an expert. You can find a new area, profitable area, about 10 minutes. 2, building a list. How well can you build a list? And not just any list, a list that has motivated sellers, right? If you're looking at people who are tax delinquent or who have code enforcement liens or anything like that, how quickly can you get that information and put it in list form so you can start to contact people? 1 is you've never done it before, you don't know what that is, and 10, you're an expert. The next one, consistently sending out enough offers and knowing what is enough means. 1 is I don't send offers very consistently and I wouldn't know how many I need because I don't really have a game plan. 10 is like, oh yeah, I have everything down to the numbers. I know how many I need to get how many accepted deals, which is going to net me a certain profit. Again, consistently sending offers. So knowing how to send offers out consistently. Not just knowing, but having the discipline and the systems in place so that actually happens. Next, talking to owners and getting intel on the market. How well do you do that? Where's your skill level there? Because everybody you talk to is not going to want to sell. Maybe you just don't come to a price, but understanding, hey, if I don't get a property from this person, I can learn more about the area. I can learn more about the mindset of people who own property here. I can learn more about all types of stuff. How good are you at doing that? So getting something out of the owner. 1 is you don't know, you're just hoping they're willing to throw the property at your face. 10 is you're an expert and everybody loves you. Next, negotiating a price. How well can you negotiate a price? How much knowledge do you have in that area? 1 is you don't know how to negotiate a price and you overpay all the time if you get lucky enough to talk to a person. 10 is you're a regular Chris Voss and you're getting properties for like fractions of a penny on a dollar. 1 is you don't negotiate well, don't know what you're doing. 10 is you're Chris Voss who wrote the book. Where is it back there? Never Split the Difference, a book about negotiation. And you can get stuff there. Tasha says, analyzing a deal really well is my gap. I feel you on that. What do you mean by that, Tasha? Tell me more about what you mean by analyzing a deal. As in, like, is it profitable or not? How much you can stand to make on it? What is the limit you can negotiate? Is about a 5. Okay, cool. Next, due diligence. Where's your gap at due diligence? Meaning, 1 is you don't do due diligence. You don't know how to look up liens. You don't know how to look up the title chain. You don't know what a property like deed restrictions are. You don't know what's going on in that subdivision because you don't know how to find information. So you're clueless. You're just hoping that everything is okay. That's a 1. And a 10 is you're basically a title company and you know how to get everything and you can do all the things. So again, your due diligence knowledge. 1, you don't know what you're doing, as in you don't know how to look up a title chain. You don't know how to look up liens. You don't know how to look up subdivision restrictions and deed restrictions and things like that. And 10 is you're basically a title company. You know it all, and you can make great decisions based on that information. All right, a couple more topics that we want to talk about. Transfer of property. How well can you do it? Can you self-close, or do you have to rely on a title or a title company? Tasha says, price to get it locked in for that would be a seller and buyer, make a seller and buyer happy. Well, here's the thing, Tasha. It sounds like you're doing wholesaling, and you can make a seller and buyer happy by. It's tough because they're 2 different people who want 2 different things. The way I go about the land business, I buy the property myself. That way, I don't care what the seller says because they're gonna buy what I tell them what they're gonna buy at. And then the seller, he doesn't know what I'm going to do with the property. He or she don't know what I'm doing with the property, so they don't care. I've had too many situations where people find out about each other and they try to squeeze you out of the deal, or they like, oh my God, I'm only selling you for 10,000 and you're about to sell it for 30,000. Hell no, I'm gonna sell it for 30,000, right? It's too much work, so I buy it myself. Or I use the seller's money, or excuse me, someone who's gonna buy for me, I use their money to buy and sell, and so they don't intermingle. But yeah. Next, rate yourself 1 to 10. How do you market property? Number 1, do you have a strategy in place? Do you have a consistent funnel? Do you understand how you're actually doing the thing, which is the marketing thing? Or you just spray and pray? I'm just going to put up a couple of poorly worded ads on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and hope that I sell this thing. All right. So a 1, spray and pray. You're putting poorly worded ads on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist with terrible pictures, and you don't really have a clue how to make your ads better or why people aren't calling you. Or 10 is you have a comprehensive and foolproof plan that seems to work every time that you do it. And it's just a matter of time, 30 days, 60 days before that property is sold. Where are you at in that process? And then finally, selling the property. Where are you at 1 to 10? Because there's a little bit of phone negotiation and sales on the phone and all that. So it kind of works hand in hand with your marketing. So 1 is every time you're on the phone, you kind of get tongue tied. You don't know what to say. People don't necessarily buy from you. And if they're ready to buy from you, you're not ready to take payment. 10, you're a sales master. You're good on the phone. You understand their plights. You understand how to get them to make a decision in their best interest. A lot of times it does involve them buying property from you. Where are you at in that process? Oh, one more thing. Last part, asset protection. Where are you in asset protection? A 1 in this situation is you don't do any asset protection. If you get sued, you're screwed. If somebody plays funny with the money, or they try to, just try to do a deal behind your back, you're screwed. Or a 10, not only are you bulletproof when it comes to the eyes of the law, but it's virtually impossible to take advantage of you. All right. So rate yourself in those areas. Rate yourself in those areas. Talking yourself in negotiation. We all do. All right. So here's the thing. From those areas that we just mentioned, finding an area, building a list, consistently sending up offers, talking to owners, negotiating the price, due diligence, transfer the property, both a self-close and title, marketing the property, sales of property, and asset protection. Rate yourself. Comments below, let me know where you are. And if you let me know where you are, I can actually try to put something together to help you fill those gaps of knowledge. Here's the thing that I'm going to do with that though. 7 for marketing, email to my buyers list, if reach out in Messenger, have used Marketplace. Okay, cool. Nice job, Tasha. This is what I'm going to do. I think it's either going to happen in late March or early April. I'm going to do another multi-day live event, virtual, where I'll walk you through getting your first or your next investment property as a group. We're all going to jump in together, and I'm going to show you in real time at the same time of us doing that, where we're all looking for different properties, different areas to invest in. I can vet to see, hey, that's a good area. You paid attention. No, that's not a good area. I'm going to say, we're going to go through together. We're going to build a list together. We'll get our stuff skip traced. And then together as a unit, we're going to actually start contacting owners and getting deals. And if you do it right, you might get a deal during the live event. So if you want that, you want to be a part of that, let me know. Just say in the comments, yeah, hey, I want to be in that live event, or just put like hashtag live event or something like that. And I'll let you know when it's time to sign up, but I'm going to get ready for that. I've done it once. It was pretty successful. I'm ready to do it again. And my goal is to make sure you're not going to have any gaps of knowledge in this land investing game. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do things. And I'll show you exactly why. So even when a new situation comes up, if you understand the mindset behind it, you can make the adjustment. All right. A little bit over time. I appreciate you guys listening. So again, let me know where your hold of knowledge are, and I can help you guys with that. But until the next time we talk, I'm glad to see you guys, and peace out.